Hello, I'm Chris Barker and welcome back to another album review. Today we're going to be looking at Electric Light Orchestra's 8th studio album, Discovery. This album is the last of ELO's albums from the 1970s and departs from the previous album's sound of orchestral pop rock and moves in a more poppier or disco-flavored direction. This shift marks the beginning of a sort of stylistic homelessness for the band that would continue throughout the 1980s. Despite this, the album is one of Electric Light Orchestra's most successful albums, with many of the band's most recognizable songs being present on the track listing. Overall, this is a transitional album for the band, but one that does so off to cap off the decade with a smash hit for them. I am going to be going through each song one by one, and then afterwards I will rate each song and then give my final thoughts on the album as a whole. At the end, I'll also give my thoughts on the album's packaging, so I hope you will stick around throughout the entire video. Now, without further ado, let's go on to the song-by-song breakdown. Starting off the album with a nice bounce to it is Shine a Little Love. The song is a pretty standard love song, but it does have a great chorus that works really well with the music. The song introduces the disco/rock/orchestral style of this album very well, and a style that works very well indeed. We see the layered wall of sound style of the backings from Out of the Blue with the strings in the background and then the synths layered on top of it. While this is similar to what the band had done before, there's a more commercial, dance sound to the synth this time around. The vocals on Shine a Little Love are also great, alternating between Jeff Lynne's normal voice on the verses and harmony falsetto vocals on the chorus. It is a juxtaposition that works quite well. This is a great bubbly, happy, bouncy song in the vein of Mr. Blue Sky. While it does come close to veering off into bubblegum pop territory, it's one of the greatest songs in this style of feel-good pop rock. Confusion is a great follow-up song. The synthesizer takes central stage here with all kinds of toot-toot and glittery effects. What am I saying? Toot-toot? And it helps make this song feel very unique with the toot-toot. It isn't an 80s synth, but it doesn't quite sound like most 70s synth either. It's kind of hard for me to place it as there really isn't anything that sounds quite like it. The vocals of the song are also well delivered, as always, by Jeff Lynne, and you also have some other bits added in, such as the vocoder and a choir that seems to be there just to add some flair to the backing. The lyrics are also great, with this being a good post-breakup, sad and confused sort of song. I mean, the name of the song is Confusion, so of course it has to do with all sorts of confusing emotions and inner turmoil and all that stuff. Need Her Love is the first of the ballads on this album, and is a good addition to the ELO ballads category. You have a great lead vocal from Jeff Lynne, as well as good choral backing vocals throughout. The song's backing is mostly synth, strings, and choral, but it effectively conveys the sort of sleepy longing that the song has for its subject. About halfway through Need Her Love, you also have a good guitar solo that carries the song's melody along quite well. It's not the flashiest solo to ever exist, but is an underrated moment in ELO's catalog, and one of the best parts of this song. The Diary of Horace Wimp is a story song of the album. The song tells the story of a weak-willed man named Horace and his path to finding romance. The song starts off with a very nervous-sounding backing that I believe is almost entirely done with the vocoder. As the song goes on and Horace gains his confidence, you get more going on in the backing, such as string parts, more synth, and guitar. Throughout the song, you have a lot of great moments. The song's story is split into days, and you have a voice that reads off the day at the beginning of each part. This ultimately culminates in the song ending with a chorus reading off all of the days over and over again to represent the rest of Horace's life with the woman he married. Another small touch I like is the wedding bells that play on the verse where Horace gets married. This song has a good, if simple, story to it, with romance and character growth, at least to a small extent. This is a song with a lot of applicability to it. The song's story is ultimately an uplifting one with a happy ending and the message to have courage. Horace is a character I'm sure a lot of listeners have used as a stand-in when listening to this song, and while I don't know if listening to this song has ever helped anyone find their courage, I like to think it at least has the capacity to do so. Now, before we go on to side 2 of the album, I want to remind you that if you like this style of album review, to please like this video, comment below, subscribe to my channel, and be sure to hit that bell button, as all these things help me out a great deal. Also, be sure to go check out my other Electric Light Orchestra album reviews. Last Train to London starts off with a very funky synth line and has a pretty hard beat throughout. The violins are great and are featured prominently throughout the song, appearing at the forefront of the mix throughout most of the song and adding a touch of class to notes that would normally be just the synth line in most disco songs. The relative hardness of the song and the prominence of the string section make this song the best fusion of classical, disco, and pop. The lyrics here are good as well. The song is told from the point of view of a narrator who needs to catch the last train to London, but is torn between leaving and staying with his love for the night, eventually choosing the latter. The vocal is also great, using a similar technique as Shine a Little Love, where the voices are mostly just Lynne singing in his normal voice, and then the choruses have Lynne sing in falsetto. The groove on Last Train to London is great, and everything just works to make both a great disco and a great Electric Light Orchestra song. Midnight Blue is the second of Discovery's 3 ballads. This is another good entry with a solid set of lyrics and vocal production. The calm response to vocals between Kelly Gurkin and Jeff Lynne is effective for both the album's ballads and popular songs, and this song is perhaps the best use of the technique on this album. Other than that, there wasn't too much I can say about this song as that I did not already say about Need Her Love, as they both have a similar vibe that I described earlier as sleepy longing. Midnight Blue probably has the better lyrics and vocals, but Need Her Love has the better backing. Both songs are great, and Midnight Blue stands as another great ballad on this album. On the One starts out with a very catchy synth fanfare that breaks into happy-sounding synth and a string section. This song also has a very solid bass line and a good synth solo partway through the song. The chorus of the song is also great, and the different movements of the song all work together great. Lyrically, the song is about the narrator feeling like everyone around him wants to drive him away and he's having to rush around all the time and can never catch a moment's break. The paranoid-sounding lyrics juxtapose well for instrumentation, where the music sounds rushed but happy, and the lyrics are rushed but annoyed. Wishing is another love ballad that is heavy on synth sounds. This one has a nice, shuffling beat to it and a good chorus and lead vocal. You have some nice additions in the mix, such as a piano solo and a vocoder that appears on a few verses. The string section in the background, as always, adds a touch of class that keeps the song grounded amidst the swirling synths and high-tech production of the late 1970s. While this is not the best ballad ELO has ever done, it is a very good one that fulfills its function quite well. Don't Bring Me Down is perhaps the hardest song in the band's discography. The drum beat on this song is very hard, and the guitar playing adds a nice bit of pure rock and roll roughness to the song. While the string section is absent, you do have a lot of banging keyboards, hand claps, and other stuff mixed in to create a rather unique sound, blowing the line between genres and making for an enticing sound. The lyrics are nonsensical, sure, but very memorable and fun. The chorus is great and is also very memorable. The song has this whole vibe to it that is hard to describe, very rough and tumble in a way, and also very chaotic. Don't Bring Me Down is another song, much like many others on the album, that injects disco elements and a very polished backing with a rock and roll sound, and being unusually hard for the band does not change this, but merely makes the track stand out more from its peers. The hardness of this song, as well as it being one of the best tracks on the album, makes this a suitable album closer, acting as sort of a grand finale of sorts to the album. Alright, and for my final song rankings, I give Shine a Little Love, 9 out of 10. Confusion, 9 out of 10. Need Her Love, 8 out of 10. The Diary of Horace Wimp, 8 out of 10. Last Train to London, 10 out of 10. Midnight Blue, 8 out of 10. On the One, 9 out of 10. Wishing, 8 out of 10. Don't Bring Me Down, 10 out of 10. There was a lot to like on this album. While the disco sound is slightly inferior to the style on Out of the Blue, it is a good sound nonetheless and makes for some very catchy and memorable tunes. The slower, ballad-y songs were also improved from the previous album, with the lyrics of the 3 ballads on Discovery being far superior to their counterparts on Out of the Blue. The pacing on Discovery is also better than its predecessor, and Jeff Lynne once again shows that he's a master at putting together a track listing for a single LP. There are, however, a few downsides as a result of stylistic changes on this album. Bassist Kelly Gurkin's vocal prominence on this album has taken a significant hit compared to other albums, with all of the lead vocals being done by Jeff Lynne and a large chunk of the falsetto parts being Lynne as well. While he is still used for calm response vocals on some songs, and his bass playing is very important to songs like On the One and Don't Bring Me Down, Gurkin feels almost completely sidelined here. This is unfortunate, as his parts were among my favourite moments on previous albums, and he has a very warm voice that complements Lynne's drier sound very well. Similarly, the string section and orchestral elements of Discovery are still very prominent, but they are beginning to wane in their importance to the album's compositions. Whereas they were the main draw on the band's early albums and slowly started to lose ground to synthesizers throughout the mid-70s, here the role starts to enter a downward spiral that results in the band having a significantly different sound at the beginning of the 1980s. So, Discovery might be a mixed bag when viewed in the greater scope of the band's career, but taken on its own, it's a great collection of songs. Jeff Lynne's songwriting is as sharp as ever, and the backings are meticulously arranged and innovative, despite being ever so slightly weaker than what came before. Overall, I feel Discovery deserves a 9 out of 10, as it really is a great album in the band's catalog and features a great selection of tracks. And now, to finish up the review, I do want to, of course, look at the sleeve. So on the front, you have this guy, this Arab guy, I guess, looking at the Electric Light Orchestra logo. I think this is like a discovery he's made, because, Discovery. Kind of a nice kind of photo. Meant to look kind of like a drawing, but I do think this is actually a photo. I, of course, like the yellow logo. On the back, we have this guy drawing a sword, and I'm guessing he's like a palace guard or something, who's caught the other guy stealing the ELO Saucer. This guy actually, I think, became like an actor or something. I think he voices the Moai head, the Easter Island head in Night at the Museum. Random trivia, I know, but that's what I'm here for. So, yeah, very nice sort of wraparound photo in a way. There it is, kind of stretched out. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it does. Wrap around the sleeve is one big photo. Quite nice. And of course, it's in a gatefold, as I already showed. And you've got him running through the desert from these guards, I guess, or people trying to take back the ELO Saucer. He's like escaping with it. That's pretty nice. Kind of a high concept sleeve. You also have a printed liner. On this side, you've got lyrics as well as a photo of the band playing live, as well as this kind of dark red thing with the kind of blue and gold chains. And then on the other side, you have pictures of the band. Very nice. Kind of plain, not my favorite ELO sleeve or liner design, but a pretty good one nonetheless. So that is quite nice discovery. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you kept on watching to the end, I just want to thank you once again for watching, and I will say I hope to see you in my next album review, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day, so see you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Good night.